Have you ever sat down to study, looked at your notes, and then just felt nothing? Like your brain's already tired before you even start. And then no matter how hard you try and push yourself, it just feels like the more information is just slipping away. Because that was me a few days ago. I came home completely drained from hospital. I sat down my coursework, opened up my laptop, and just started reading all of this information. And the thing is, if the studying is such a heavy lift, if I'm already so tired, my energy is so low, then obviously I'm not gonna actually want to do it. But there was a key moment in the series of events that I just described where I screwed up. Do you notice? I opened up my coursework and just started reading through it. And I know it doesn't sound that bad, but simply reading line by line, forcing my brain to somehow understand, is like trying to solve a puzzle without knowing what it'll look like at the end. What you're doing is that you're going through the puzzle, grabbing one piece, then grabbing another one at random, and then hoping it fits in. But obviously it doesn't. Then you try again. We try with a third piece. Oh, maybe this will fit into this one. It doesn't. And then you do it again and again without actually knowing what all the pieces are, where, like, is this sky? Is it water? Is it some house you're trying to build? Who knows? And that is what sentence by sentence reading does to you. You're going, just freestyling it, randomly grabbing pieces, seeing what fits, and nothing is fitting, by the way. You have no plan. Plus, you have 1,000 more pieces to actually go through. So obviously your brain's gonna be put off it. It's not gonna be able to do this. And it's all because you've made this simple puzzle, this simple topic that you're studying, too hard. So logically, what do you need to do? You need to make the studying easier in the first place so that your brain can easily understand. And the way we do that isn't by looking at this. It's by looking at this. It's by, number one, getting the full picture of the topic that you're studying. And then number two, before you actually start learning and going through everything how you usually would, actually grouping and organizing the topics that you're going to be doing. Honestly, that is all there is. You need to be making the information work for you rather than you working for it. I'll explain how to do both of those things in more detail, and I'll make it as simple as possible. But if you do want to improve the skill of studying smart and really lock in for the academic year, then I made this completely free email newsletter called Study Scoop. It is free. Just enter your email address in the link below, and I will regularly be sending you actionable study tips, insights, and all the PDFs and resources that I'm creating specifically for you guys, all for free. Again, link in the video description. Sign up to Study Scoop, my friends. It will help you. Now let me explain what I should have done in that study session instead of just reading line by line. When I opened up my chapters, I should have, number one, zoomed out and looked at all 4 of the topics or however many chapters that I'm studying together. I should have taken 15 to 30 minutes to simply understand how all of these different topics fit together. What is the puzzle that I'm making, and what are all of the pieces that are involved? Only then will your brain actually have direction with what it's studying. And then number two, you organize and group all of the smaller concepts within these big chapters or whatever you're studying, all of the smaller concepts, you group them together and organize them in a way that your brain can understand. Because the way we understand information is by looking at that information and thinking, from all the different boxes in my head, which box does this piece of information go into? How can I organize it? So what if you jump the gun and instead of your brain having to create the boxes and then figure out where the information is going and do all of this gymnastics while I'm studying, what if you just create the boxes, create and organize the topics before you actually start studying them? What if you go like, right, the pieces in this puzzle can be split up into some for the water, these ones are for the golden ones, you can sort through them, the golden house or whatever we're building. These ones are for the pink flowers or whatever. And then you have these like neat groups. And that might be for the water or for the sky. You can figure it out. You can see the golden house. It's not just golden. It's not just a golden house, right? There's a boat there. There's a bridge there, right? So maybe I can even split them even further. They're colored golden, but they're different things. And as for the flower, there's different colored flowers. Maybe there's a pink one and maybe there's a purple one. You're just organizing the topics before you actually dive into them. And if you just did this small step, think of how much easier it would be. It's like giving yourself a cheat sheet before you start studying. Essentially, both of these steps are mental processing. And I'll try and show you how I would generally do this with my topics, because I can understand that, especially initially, doing this sort of mental processing, it's kind of difficult when you're just used to just opening up your book and just read from the line one. But the point of these first 2 steps is simply to make the rest of your studying as easy as possible. Not just to get you to start studying fast, which you will, by the way, because you actually go through this a lot faster now. Because it'll be easier for you to understand the information that you're reading, you'll actually want to study and actually do the work, because even if you're tired, when you're understanding, your brain is activated, you will actually want to get through this stuff. So now let's go through how I'd actually do this with some of the steps, with the topics, and actually do the work even if you are tired. Step 1, the skimming. Let me break down the process of how I do this effectively with example topics that I was literally doing yesterday. See, I don't know how much I can actually show you because I've already done this, but see, I have around 3 to 4 topics open, different diseases from my high yield textbook. And when I begin to study these 3 or 4 diseases that I'm probably going to be linking together, because 3-4 diseases don't have as much content as you think they would, they pretty much cover what an entire 1 or 2 lectures would cover. But when I start to study, when I'm starting to skim all 3 of the topics that I'm revising, I have 2 goals. Number 1, identify what each topic means and how it works in the wider context. So basically, I'm just figuring out what this disease is and how it affects the body. And I do that step for each of the diseases that I'm learning. And then while you do this, the second goal of my skimming, number 2, is to analyze the structures of the chapters. What are the sections? What are the actual concepts each of the diseases is divided up into? And see, because I've just done this simple skimming step, I immediately know what 3 of my diseases are about. I know how they affect the body, and I know how each of the chapters are laid out. I know what the different concepts, the structure of the chapters, I know what all of the concepts are involved in this. To be honest, with the diseases, the actual concepts don't change much because I'm looking at the investigations, I'm looking at the clinical features. As you can see in each of the chapters, like those big subheadings don't really change, but that's very different for different subjects. Plus, if I quickly skim through all 3 chapters, reading the main headings, understanding what each of the concepts might be about, what I'm doing is also seeing what I need to be focusing on more. Is there a heftier part of the disease that I need to be? For this one, the cause, the etiology seems a lot more important compared to this one. Oh, it has a very small section. Again, I'm comparing how important different sections of the chapters are, how much time I'll have to give to them, and that also informs the rest of my study. All of this, by the way, takes tops 5-10 minutes. Maybe it might take you a bit longer, but all this is doing is giving your brain something to latch onto. See, the goal is not to memorize everything, because there's no way that I'd remember every one of the investigations on my first skim through, every one of the little details, the little drug names. I'm not going to remember any of that. But what I am doing is quickly giving my brain the big picture, so I can kind of trick my brain into feeling like, oh, this isn't too bad. There's just this section and this section and this section, and it kind of makes sense. It kind of links together. Oh, but I also want to know how this section is different in this topic compared to another one. See, what all you're doing right now, yes, it's going to help you study more effectively, but you're also making the idea of studying less painful, because you're not just throwing your brain in there first sentence in, just like reading random words. You're priming your brain to learn. You're having a look at all of this stuff that you're doing first, and then you're going into it. And then comes step number 2 of after you've skimmed through it, or even during your skimming if you're quick, is grouping. Grouping the main concepts within each topic. All this is organizing the chapter's main concepts into headings, subheadings, and keywords. I've already kind of done this with the 4 diseases. I did screen record it, so I'll show it here right now. And yes, it does resemble note taking. I do understand that. But what you are doing is you're creating those boxes so that you can fit the information in. So that when you actually do read about this disease's specific information, you'll know, oh, this is an investigation. Oh, this is a management thing. And this will help you with whatever else you're studying as well. Let me try and do it for another topic. Let's give an example using a different subject. Let's say organic chemistry. You may have the functional groups as separate big headings: alkenes, alkanes, and alcohols. Under alkanes, you'd have combustion reactions, halogenation, the free radical substitution. You'd have nucleophilic substitutions. Then under alkenes, you'll have addition reactions, hydrations, polymerization, electrophilic additions, and so on. Group the concepts however you want within your chapter, and that's it. It's not complicated at all. I know this probably looks like a lot more information in terms of the topics that I was studying. Actually, it looks like notes, but it's not, because I'm doing this in preparation for a mind map that I did for all of these topics yesterday. I'll put it up right now. But I'm not making this video to show you how to make mind maps. I'm simply making this video to make you understand that skimming and then grouping the topics will make it easier for you to understand, and then make you actually want to do it. It won't feel like such a heavy lift, because once you've grouped these topics, for example, I've grouped the uterine fibroids into typical characteristics, features, first line, so investigations, divided up into symptomatic and asymptomatic, and then complications as well. So I've divided up into different groups, this big topic, right? What this will now do is when I read a random sentence in my textbook, I know this is already labeled, but in a lot of chapters it isn't. I will read this sentence or this sentence or this sentence, and I will know, oh, this thing is talking about the management. This is the first line management of this disease. I can immediately grab this piece of information and fit it in one of the groups that I've created in my head. Fit it in that investigations group, or fit it in that management group, and that applies to all of your chapters. You will simply just have a clear, organized overview of the topics. Very, very simple. Both of these steps, the skimming and the grouping, will max take like 15 minutes of work per topic, and it will make all of your study, every single part of the process later on, less overwhelming, more understandable, and actually doable. And hence then help your brain want to study. Now I could tell you to create a big mind map, find the central idea of all 4 of these diseases, group them even more, find the relations, and have that full structure laid out. Again, as I said, that is what I did for these diseases. But if you're not there with your learning yet, just do these 2 steps, skimming and then organizing the topics. And then you just study how you normally would. But even if you just do these 2 things, you will see that it will not only just make everything clearer, but once you start, you understand the big picture. Your brain's more engaged, and you can slowly start to form each of the groups, the pieces, the water pieces, the house pieces, the bridge pieces, and then see how they come together. And if you're still asking me, oh, how does it actually make me want to study when I don't feel like it? Because here's the thing. There's no secret mindset or hack or anything that will make your brain want to work when you don't feel like it. Because otherwise there wouldn't be 50 other videos on the internet about this. But what you can do is not throw your brain into the material, into the topic that you're studying with no roadmap, no plan, just hoping that something will stick. Simply look through the whole topic, understand what all of the concepts are about, and then structure it into headings, subheadings, and concepts that make sense to you. And all this will do is give your brain a sense of control, give it direction, and that is what will motivate you to keep going. You're no longer just slugging through random information. You're actually understanding and seeing how all of the concepts connect together, and that's kind of exciting. And here's the best part. The more you use this method, even though it's not really a method, it's just 2 steps, the easier it will get. The less intimidating changing your usual way of reading things will get, and the more confident you will feel. My point is that these 2 steps give you momentum. The studying isn't just a chore that you have to get through. It is a challenge that you want to take on. If you do want the full detailed method of how I build these mind maps from scratch and study these humongous topics in medical school very quickly, very efficiently, and if you want to understand why these mind maps work so well, check this video out. Actually, just click on it right now. I know you want to. I know it will help you, and that is why I'm going to push it forward this hard. Just click and start watching it. It'll take 10-15 minutes. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope this video helped. Please leave a like, follow my Instagram, support the channel in any way possible. Comment down below if you want any specific videos that you want me to make in the future, and I will see you